We live here. Big home in an HOA paradise. Understandably, our friends and family ask, how on earth are you going to downsize to a tiny house? We get it. It took us a while to get here, and it kind of sounded crazy when we first started to have these conversations. Stick around for this video where we cover exactly what we're doing to reassure ourselves and our family. Big changes require big changes in your mindset too. I'm not going to be all hokey here, but seriously, you can't have a giant wardrobe, sewing machine, golf clubs, 100 pairs of shoes, every hobby under the sun, and fit it all into a tiny space. That's okay. Consumerism is probably one of those things that you're trying to kick if you're going down this path. We know we can't keep everything that we currently own, but it's also really hard to put into reality, or at least something that you can understand as far as what it looks like to live in a condensed space. And now that I'm thinking about it, this room actually might be an appropriate tiny home space. So we'll see. All right, the first idea was to paint the yard. When I first told my son we were going to do this, he kind of looked at me crazy, but you know, he got into the spirit of things. So we went out, measured out a 12 by 16 space. It's kind of the measurements that we're throwing around as our first tiny house build. And so we go out and start kind of goofing off. So we spray painted the 12 by 16-ish range, and then we started moving furniture in. And of course, we would not have this furniture necessarily in a tiny house, but we wanted to get a feel for what we could fit into it with items that we already own and already work with, so we can kind of understand like what we have and what will and won't fit, if that kind of makes sense. Like we're throwing oversized patio chairs inside of it. There is nothing oversized that needs to be inside of a tiny house. The desk became a table, and then the patio coffee table was representative of a kitchen according to the kiddo. And of course, what's a home without a dog? Say hi, Yoshi! So when we first spray painted the 12 by 16 area, we realized it's kind of big. But we all know that it's actually not. So what I realized is by having it in the yard, we didn't have the sense of walls and a closed-in space to really make it feel like a tiny house would feel. So then how do we solve for that? I'm not going to throw up random walls in the backyard, but we do have a garage. So if you happen to have a garage or a room, like your living area, maybe you clear out the furniture inside of your living room or move your furniture around to make this work. But you could always take painter's tape and measure out dimensions of a tiny house and kind of play around with that. And so that's what we're doing here. Kind of threw in some different furniture, some cots that we had in the garage and things of that nature. Things that probably will not be going with us to a tiny house, but we had some fun in this space as well. In case you don't know, a king size bed is a 76 by 80 inches. And it's recommended that you have a 12-foot room, 12 by 12 foot square room in order to fit a king size bed in it. So this is a 12 by 16 for an entire house. I don't see a king size bed fitting in here and being able to cook a dinner. What this is showing us is we're probably going to have to be doing some more of that cooking and things outside. Yep, I'm being silly. But give this a like if it's really spurring some creativity for you and inspiring some ways that you can decide if tiny house living will actually work out for you and your family. Another silly kind of option is, you know how you have sheds that you can go visit like at Home Depot or a shed dealership, what have you? Take that painter's tape and go mark it up on a slow day and make sure you pick up your mess. I'm not trying to cause some damage at anybody's business, but I've got frog tape for delicate walls. I'm sure it's fine for their flooring. And if you want a bathroom that you think is 3 by 5 is going to work for, go put a 3 by 5 line inside of the shed. But again, please pick up your mess. Okay. This is the most fun idea, I think. Take a vacation. A month-long vacation. Sip a Mai Tai, or just hang out in a tiny space. So a lot of times when you're going on a vacation, think like a cruise, those cabins are tiny, like 180 square feet. And then we tend to overpack for them. So that experience, if you can copy it and have fun, you can always try to live in that for as long as you can. And I personally can't take a 1-month vacation, but I can take a 1 week here and there. And so I also can't actively cruise right now, but it's coming back. You are able to go out to VRBO, I don't know, or Airbnb or a cruise, the idea is to find a tiny space and spend some time in it. Even if you can only sneak away for a weekend, it can really help you understand whether you can cram your stuff, your most valued possessions, into a tiny place. Sadly, we have a bit of time before we're able to move ourselves. So we're all about trying to stay motivated and make good plans in the middle. And if you find yourself in the same boat, check out this video here and ways that we're trying to stay motivated.